what the welfare system and other kinds of governmental programs are doing is paying people to fail. Insofar as they fail, they receive the money. Insofar as they succeed, even to a moderate extent, the money is taken away. This is even extended into the school systems where they...
So, great point to start off with. Welfare, when it was first initiated, a lot of it was given to, you couldn't have a male in the house. That was one criteria. They used to actually do inspections to make sure you didn't have a phone and do checks on you to make sure that you weren't spending money in any type of like extravagant kind of way. And once you tried to get a job on the books, why a lot of people worked off the books, then you would lose the benefits of the benefits. So what does that do? So, let's take some simple numbers. If you're getting whatever, the 70s, you're getting 100, again, these are not the numbers. I'm just saying, if you're getting $100 a week on welfare, food stamps, everything like that, package that all in together. And then you turn around and you get a job, and the job, let's say the job pays you $120 a week. Let's up it up. Let's up it a bit. But then you lose your $100 a week from welfare and all the other assistance programs. And you are now consuming 40 hours of your week. So now you have to get childcare and you have to do other things. And it creates, there are a whole other host of issues that come about now that you're working full time. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would anyone do that? Nobody would, which is why we're in the situation that we're in. And it was been exacerbated. In the very beginning of welfare, when it was first implemented, the majority of people culturally did not want to be known as being on welfare. Right? It was looked down upon, which it should be. It should be something that is a crutch, something that is 100%. I think it should be there as a safety net, but us as a society need to essentially shame people and say that that's not good, right? We don't want people that become a burden to society as a whole. And not just that, but for their own self-worth and purpose and meaning. Like you just want to be sitting around watching Netflix and sitting in AC all day long. I mean, all right, I guess that's okay, but you kind of want to do something. You want to move around. You want to have to wake up. You want to have a purpose, a meaning. Maybe it's your kids, and maybe you're an awesome mom and you take really good care of your kids. I actually wouldn't mind that so much. Right? But the problem is that you're incentivizing the father to leave. Right? So that becomes a big issue. And I know we're doing Sowell right now, but Friedman, with his negative income tax, you guys could look it up. He had a methodology of trying to get out of this hole that we're in. Essentially, the way he would do it, again, it's not very complex, but he breaks it down a certain way where even if they acquire a job, they would get less benefits, but still get a certain amount of benefits, and that would scale its way down so that you're incentivizing work, not disincentivizing the work, because if you work, then you lose everything in one shot. In that scenario, you're absolutely disincentivizing work. That's just how it is, and you're incentivizing the dad leaving. Right? It used to be another thing that was looked down upon is if you were a father and you left your family. If you're a father and you left your family, that was definitely frowned upon back in the day. It was something that was just, you were an outcast in society. Nobody wanted to be a part of you. And that was the reason why families stayed together and you could raise children. You have to have two parents. Sorry. Raising children without a father is one of the worst things that I've ever seen. Do some people turn out? Sure, some people turn out just fantastic, but on the whole, you're rolling the dice when it comes to that. don't know the outcome you're going to get because one, for the most part, the mom's going to have to go to work or do something, or she's not going to be able to be there full time. And, you're going to have children that are raised, they're going to be rudderless. That's just what I've seen. And I know people that didn't have fathers growing up, and I know some really good people, right? But they're the outliers. They're the exceptions. They're not the rule.
It will give money to schools with low scores. Insofar as the school improves its education, the money is taken away, so that you are subsidizing people to fail in their own private lives and become more dependent upon the handouts.
We have expectations built in today about the quality of life, the quality of job, the level of income for which one expects in return. Why? Because we look at the level around us that it takes us to have a fairly decent level.
No, that's not why. I may have all sorts of expectations. The question is, what can I do? If someone else is subsidizing my expectations will be far higher. Insofar as the Center for Advanced Study was subsidizing my expectations a few years ago, I refused to work at UCLA for the normal full professor's salary. Why should I when I can get the same money for being at the Center for Advanced Study with no hours, no duties, and no classes?
Cut off welfare tomorrow. What will they do? What will be their immediate response? At what price to their small children and to their middle-aged children? Yes, they'll get a job. In fact, the statistics show that women, in fact, are the most successful through the employment program. But what has to supplement that typically is the provision of some kind of daycare arrangement. Either the individual woman has to earn enough money to be able to pay privately for her daycare, or in fact she is, quote, subsidized through this insidious corrupting set of programs run by the federal government, which in fact makes her employable and a taxpayer. It's an interesting notion of trying to get people in a productive mode.
Tom Sowell.
It's incredible the way you start the story in the middle, as if there's a predestined amount of poverty, a predestined amount of unemployment, and that the welfare system is not itself in any way responsible for that.
There is a predestined 20% of the bottom half of the population.
I have never, that's always been true.
There's going to be 20% at the bottom.
I agree with you. It's also true that 20% of the bottom population doesn't have to be living on the government and ruled by the government. You mentioned, for example, the female-headed household. Many of those, in addition to the grown woman who has all the kids, are teenage pregnancies. There's not a predestined amount of teenage pregnancy. I grew up in an era when people, and particularly blacks, were a lot poorer than today, faced a lot more discrimination than today, and in which the teenage pregnancy rate was a lot lower than today.
So what he's saying is that because of the programs, because of the fact that now you can do it, right? And let me tell you, as somebody that's grew up in the city, I've worked in the city, I know what I'm talking about. Like, they are incentivized to have children out of wedlock and to start living off of the state. It is an absolutely apparent thing to anybody with any ties to a major urban area that is absolutely, in fact, true. It's 100% true. I've heard it with my own, I've seen it, I've heard it with my own ears, I've seen it with my own eyes, that they will continuously have children because they know that the next child is going to be more money. That's just a fact. I'm not saying that that's across the board, but I'm saying there's a certain subsect of people that will do that.
I don't believe there is a predestined amount of teenage pregnancy, a predestined amount of husband desertion. Gutman has done a study of the black family showing that this whole notion that the black family has always been disintegrating, that is nonsense, that his studies go up to 1925, the great bulk of black families were intact, two-parent families up through 1925, and going all the way back through the era of slavery. So it is now only within our own time that we suddenly see this inevitable tragedy which the welfare system says it's going to rush in to solve, but which it is itself a part.
We're talking about a very small group. We're talking about 12% of the families are not intact, are not two-parent families at any one period of time.
I mean among welfare recipients?
No,
or the
among the
public
at large. We're talking about 12% of the families. 12%.
That's right.
That's a small number. But
none of those on welfare.
We're still talking about a significant component of the bottom 20% that are the bottom 20%. Whether they are above the poverty line or below the poverty line, they are still the bottom 20%. And the issue is, what is the responsibility of the other 80%, if any, toward those individuals?
Does your program plan to eliminate there being a bottom 20%?
No, but it intends to raise the bottom 20%. So
You're raising them by having more illegitimacy, more unemployment. That's
I'm
how
not
you're
making them
raising
have illegitimate children. I hope that's clear.
Oh, I think. Oh, you don't have to do that. You simply subsidize it.
And that was the last point, right? She's not making them have illegitimate children, but if she's enabling it, if she's making it easier, if she's making it profitable, if she's making it beneficial in any way, right? What we need to be subsidizing is having families and caring for the family. What we need to be subsidizing is having individuals be responsible for themselves, for their families, for their children, and for their extended families. That's the incentive structure that has to be created. How we do that? Maybe we just stop incentivizing not doing that. That might be the key. That might be an ultimate takeaway, and that's what I think Sowell was getting into in this clip. Was, it's funny because he gave her a little jab there when he said, well, do you plan on eliminating the bottom 20%? Because she keeps coming with this 20% argument. There's always going to be a bottom 20%. How are you not going to make it about so if we're all millionaires and the bottom 20% is making $100,000 a year, there's still a bottom 20%, even though they're making $100,000 a year. Well, what's your plan? So you're saying that there has to be a plan for the people like that? And again, essentially, Sowell was trying to get to the point that yes, that woman, maybe she has a good heart, but her solutions are exacerbating the situation. They're making it worse. They're incentivizing it. It's creating an atmosphere that you don't have to worry if you have a illegitimate child and the father is gone. Right? If that fear factor was still there, if the worry was still there, if the father was still an outcast in society. The other thing that he doesn't bring up here is one of the other reasons that the fatherless epidemic rose, in my personal opinion, is because now he knew they were going to get taken care of. He doesn't have to worry, right? So him leaving, his kids weren't starving, right? His ex was living fine. She was still comfortable, and he can go do whatever the hell he wanted to do, and didn't have to have the scrutiny and the burden of knowing that his children were starving because the government was stepping in and taking care of them. That absolutely incentivizes fathers leaving, 100%, and it creates a generational idea that is passed down. Like this father leaves, and then he makes another one, and then that father leaves and makes another one, and it just keeps going because no one has to be accountable for anything. Sowell was fantastic. Check him out, guys. He's really fantastic. I'm sure you guys have already seen a bunch of them. Guys, thanks a lot for coming out. Please hit the subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. Follow me on X, 6283talk on the X. Notification bell, that'd be nice too. I'm John Soto. See you in the next one. Thanks a lot.